You're a mutant. Created by magic. Roaming the continent.
Hi and welcome to Select 10. In this video I have listed top 10 most watched Netflix shows of all time. This ranking is based on data released by Netflix, and this can change in future with new releases. So let's start the video. On number 10. Shadow and Bone.
Is this true? Can you summon light?
This show has been watched by 55 million people during its first 4 weeks, and it's one of the best fantasy show of 2021. The story follow the Shadow Fold, a strip of impenetrable darkness, crawling with monsters that feast on human flesh, which is slowly destroying the once great nation of Ravka. And there are people called Grisha, who can practice the small science. And they are trained for the Second Army, led by General Kirigan, who has spent his life searching for a Grisha who can summon light. The only person who could destroy the Shadow Fold. And Alina Starkov, a map maker, turns out to be such a Grisha. On number 9. Emily in Paris.
Has anyone noticed this is a very dysfunctional workplace?
I think you're the one bringing the drama.
This series is one of the best comedy drama of 2020, with 58 million views during its first 4 weeks from release. The series follows Emily, a young American woman from the Midwest, who moves to Paris for an unexpected job opportunity, where she is tasked with bringing an American point of view to a venerable French marketing firm. Cultures clash as she adjusts to the challenges of life in Paris, while juggling her career, new friendships and love life. On number 8. The Queen's Gambit.
No player in the world as gifted as you are.
There is one player that scares me.
He is a world champion.
The Queen's Gambit has been watched by 62 million people in 4 weeks and became Netflix's most watched scripted miniseries, making it Netflix's top show in 63 countries. The story begins in the mid-1950s and proceeds into the 1960s and follows the life of an orphan chess mastermind, Elizabeth Harmon, during her quest to become an elite chess player while struggling with emotional problems, drugs and alcohol dependency. On number 7. Tiger King.
It's not every day that a zookeeper went to prison for murder for hire.
Tiger King is a 7-episode, true crime documentary series with 64 million views. This series is centered on Joe Exotic, an infamous collector of giant cats, such as tigers and lions, that he kept at a zoo in Oklahoma. Joe accused Carol of murdering her husband and feeding him to her big cats, and later tried to pay someone to murder her. Tiger King also examines the entire exotic animal business, its eccentric cast of characters, and the jaw-dropping scandals associated with it. On number 6. Stranger Things.
Do you really think it was a coincidence that we found her at the same place where Will disappeared? Something is going on here!
Stranger Things is one of the most popular shows of all time. And it has been watched by 64 million people back in 2016. The story follows in a small town where a peculiar incident starts a chain of events that leads to the disappearance of a child, which exposes dark government agencies and seemingly malevolent supernatural forces that converge on the town. The main plot revolves around a young boy who disappears, and his mother, a police chief, and his friends must confront terrifying supernatural forces in order to get him back. On number 5. Sweet Tooth.
Excuse me? Are you a doctor?
And then a miracle happened.
This series is watched by 65 million people during its first 28 days, and it's very close to Money Heist numbers. This series follows story of a 9-year-old boy Gus, the first of a new breed of human-animal hybrid that appeared after an apocalyptic pandemic of an unknown virus. Raised alone by his religious father in a forest preserve in Nebraska, he decides to leave his forest home with Jeopard after his father dies of an unknown illness. The main plot involves Gus stepping out of his secluded home in search of the truth about his missing mother, Bertie, and the world beyond the forest, where group of people trying to kill the hybrids. On number 4. Money Heist.
Soy más bien de liarme a tiros.
This is one of the most popular show ever of Netflix, with 65 million views in its first month of release. The story begins with a criminal mastermind who goes by the Professor has a plan to pull off the biggest heist in recorded history. To print billions of euros in the Royal Mint of Spain. To help him carry out the ambitious plan, he recruits 8 people with certain abilities and who have nothing to lose. The group of thieves take hostages for their negotiations with the authorities, who strategize to come up with a way to capture the Professor. Meanwhile, as more time elapses, the robbers prepare for a showdown with the police. On number 3. Lupin.
I love to read. Your grandfather gave it to me. I think you'll like it.
Arsène Lupin, gentleman burglar.
Lupin is a record-breaker Netflix original ever, with 70 million views. The story follows professional thief Assane Diop, the only son of Senegal, who had come to France to seek a better life for his child. Assane's father is framed for the theft of an expensive diamond necklace by his employer, the wealthy and powerful Hubert Pellegrini, and hangs himself in his prison cell out of shame. Inspired by the adventures of Arsène Lupin, gentleman thief Assane Diop sets out to avenge his father for an injustice inflicted by a wealthy family. On number 2. The Witcher.
I've heard tales of your kind, Witcher.
On number 2. The Witcher is the second most watched show on Netflix, with 76 million views. This series stars Henry Cavill as Geralt, Anya Chalotra as Yennefer, and Freya Allan as Cirilla. Geralt of Rivia is a Witcher, a mutant with special powers, who kills monsters for money. In a medieval dark fantasy world ruled by corrupt kings, queens and mages, where poverty, violence, and intolerance are unchecked, and the whole land is in a state of turmoil due to the Empire of Nilfgaard seeking to enlarge its territory. Among the refugees of this struggle is Cirilla, the Princess of Sintra, one of Nilfgaard's victims. She and Geralt share a destiny. Meanwhile, another figure looms large in Geralt's adventures. Yennefer, a sorceress. On number 1. Bridgerton. The story is set during the Regency era in England, where 8 close-knit siblings of the powerful Bridgerton family attempt to find love. Bridgerton follows Daphne Bridgerton, the eldest daughter of the powerful Bridgerton family, as she makes her debut onto Regency London's competitive marriage market, hoping to follow in her parents' footsteps and find a match sparked by true love. And it's currently the most watched show ever on Netflix, with 82 million views. That's it for today. Do subscribe my channel if you like this suggestions. And thank you for watching this video.